Welcome. Today topic is project management, monitor and controlling process group. Today we are going to discuss about monitor, control process group. So monitor, control process group. The project manager observe, monitor and control the project when it deviates from the project management plan. So to determine the deviation, you need the project management baseline plan about the work performance. So the input to the monitor controlling process group is project management baseline plan and performance reports. The performance reports have actual cost, actual schedule and actual scope. So project manager determine the variance, the actual versus estimated or baseline. He determine the variance of scope, schedule and cost versus baseline, scope baseline, schedule baseline and cost baseline. So monitoring controlling process group, the input is project management baseline plan and performance reports. When project team is busy in doing the project and produce the results, and most of the time project managers spent on monitoring and controlling process group. So most of this spends on the monitoring and controlling the project. So he controls the scope and he controls the schedule and controls the budget, control risk, control quality. So he spends time on observing and monitoring and determine the variances and bring back the project to the baseline. So that is control project to the always make sure that it's going as per project management baseline. So the control scope and schedule and cost, that is the project, he measures the project performance according to planned measures in the management plan. So in project management plan is defined the measures. So according to those measures he measures the project performance. So for the scope they define the scope boundaries. For the schedule network model, and the cost they have cost baseline. So project manager measure against performance measurement baselines. So they have a baseline, scope, schedule and cost. So project manager measure this actual versus actual work performance against the performance baselines and determine the variances. So when there is a variance, he need to control it and he analyze the variance and then he prepare the actions to control and bring back the project to the original project baseline plan. That is, the project manager responsibility is control scope and schedule cost to their baselines. So when there is a deviation when there is a variance, and he holds meetings with the project team and discuss about these variances and find the reasons for root cause of this variance, and then discuss and analyze. He determines that he bring back the project to the baseline version. When there is a cost variance, if it is this small variance and he managed within the reserves, we have the project have the management reserves, monitor controlling reserves. So for monitoring control, so allocates the budgets, and then contingency reserves, so they manage the reserves. So when project is deviated, the cost is deviated, so he make that budget and the cost involved in controlling the project to the reserves. So he has a time reserve if it is scheduled, and we have a time reserve, so he adjusts to that reserves we have. So that is the authority of project manager. The project manager have authority to use this cost and time reserves. And identify root cause of the problem. When there is a variance, and then project manager analyze and discuss with the project team and identify the root cause of the problem. So then if more changes are coming from the project, so stop during the project to see where changes are coming from and what can be done to eliminate the root cause. So just keep on coming the changes, let's stop the project, and then have a meetings, have a discussions, have a detailed analysis, and then it determine that why this change is coming and what is the source of the coming, what is that, so how to eliminate that source. So that once he done that analysis, and then when comes up with the solution, then again start the project. So when changes are coming frequently, and identify need for the replanning. So if the project if the project management plan is well defined and it is realistic, then we get the less problems. And then if project management plan need to be changed, so you need to identify the need for replanning. So when changes are coming frequently, so we need to identify, analyze, and see that there is anything need to be changed in project management plan, and maybe you need to write from the scope, time and cost, and so you might need to replanning the project. So it identify the need for replanning. So when project manager identified the need for the replanning, then he has to take it to the stakeholders and sponsor or organization business unit and key stakeholders. He requests for the changes in the project management plan. So once they approve, then it goes to the integrated change control. So every organization will have an integrated change control system. So that change should go through that integrated change control system. So it has got change control board, and the change control board will have the members from the portfolio management and organization business unit, and the key stakeholders in the portfolio management and the organization business unit. So they will have in this board, and when there is a change, the project manager has to submit this change to through change control system, and you need to describe that why these changes is occurred, and what is the corrective actions and what is the preventive actions. So what is the defect repair. So he has to document it, that the reason and about this change, and so it goes to the approvals, all the key stakeholders and sponsor or organization business unit, and once it is approved, so that change is included in the project plan document. That will be the baseline version of the project plan document. That is, obtain the approval for changes in integrated change control, and it will have a change control board, and it goes to the change control board and they approves. Once it approves it, this version of this project plan will be baseline. And then through configuration management system of the organization, so this version control and configuration management systems version control of these project documents. So this project planning document version will be changed, and that new changed project planning document will be the baseline version. So that configuration management, through configuration management they maintain this version control of these project documents, so that project team or key stakeholders, anyone refers to those folders, and then it will have the latest version of the project plan document. So every key stakeholders, project team, everyone refers to that document. So that is, monitoring control project is mainly about the project manager when the team is busy in doing their work, and project manager most of the time spends on monitor and control project to the project management baseline. So he frequently measures the performance and get the performance of the project to project management plan, and approving the changes request, including corrective, preventive and defective repairs. So he measures the performance and identify the need for the change of project management plan. If that is, have a discussion with the sponsors and organization business unit, and then it goes to the approval process, and then what is the corrective, preventive and defect actions and defect repairs. So then it re-baseline the project management plan, and then project team will start working on as per the latest version of the project management plan. So that is, so he measure, monitor, determine the variances, he try to control the variances within his authority of, that is, management time and cost reserves, and then that can be done. So you do that. If it is cost variance, he adjust within the reserves, and if it's time, it adjusts the reserves. And if it is project is behind the schedule, and then you try to crash the project or fast track the project. So any cost is involved in that, you adjust in that cost reserves. But sometimes, if most frequently the changes are coming, or the changes warranted the changes in project management plan, then he goes to this change control, integrated change control system, and then change the project document and re-baseline the project baseline plan. So when there is a variance, he calculate the how much project will cost, how long it will take. So that means when the project management is rebaselined, so that is according to rebaseline the project management plan and what is the cost till now is accumulated plus he estimate to complete, I mean the rest of the project how much cost is involved. So he recalculate the how much project will cost and how long it will take. Calculate the estimate to complete. So actual cost till now plus rest of the part of the project estimate will be the estimate to the complete the project. The project is budget is estimated to complete the project. So that is to calculate this estimate to complete and how long it will take and what is the cost. So that what is the estimated budget to complete with the rebaseline the project management plan. These are all will done in earned value management. So use interpret and earned value calculations that it comes in the cost management plan knowledge area. We'll discuss on that. And obtain additional funding when needed. So when project manage when there is a need of replanning and definitely it changes the cost of the project, so that needs the additional funding when needed. So that is obtain the additional funding when needed. Use milestones as a project control feature. The project has to achieve the milestones defined in the project management plan. So he always makes sure that that project is reaching and project is executing as per the milestones defined in the project management plan. So according to the so he determines that whether depends on that milestones, and at that milestone he determines whether the project is behind the schedule and ahead of the schedule. So that milestones are the as a project control features ensure that that project is meeting that milestone. So that is as a parameter. So that is the control features of the project. So monitoring controlling process group, we have another. Now we have discussed about the control, scope, schedule and then cost. The scope, when the project is doing the work which is out of this scope, that is out of the scope boundaries, and the project manager inform that this project is going out of the scope, so that project team will have a action on that. So if it is behind the schedule, we're trying to control it, and then by fast tracking or crashing techniques. And if it is cost, and we try to control the cost, and if it is not able to maintain within this authority, that is reserves, and then it identify the replanning. So that is about scope and schedule and then time and cost. Now we need to, in project management plan, we have identified the risk, and then we need to, when the risk event occurs, the project manager, the project team, whoever is defined who is responsible for that implementing the risk responses, the project team will work on that. So project manager responsibility is to evaluate the effectiveness of risk response in risk audit. So once it is implemented, you evaluate the effectiveness of that risk response and find out there is a residual risk, and find out there is any risk it leads to the another any new risk because of implementation of this risk response. So you evaluate the effectiveness of the risk response and look for the newly arising risk. And always project manager monitor and observe the project and look for the newly arising risk which is not defined in the project management plan, or newly arising risk because of the risk response is implemented. So look for the newly arising risk and reanalyzing the existing risk. So based on how this project is executing, so we need to analyze, go back and see that what is the impact and how it is executing, and that might leads to change in the risk, identify the risk. And so it's not planned, but it comes in other way of triggering the risk. So reanalyze the existing risk always, and then make sure that so the risks are identified well before it arises. So reanalyze the existing risk. That is, the controlling risk is the most critical in the project. So risk is always critical in the project monitoring and controlling process group. So we need to control risk. The risk is very much critical. So project manager has to be always observe and monitor and control risk. So in monitoring control process group, he is observing and monitoring and then controlling. So these findings and these variance reports has to be sent to the communicate. When there is a variance, he has to communicate the stakeholders. He has to communicate the status of the project. He has to communicate the how he is controlling this project. And he has to communicate if there is a variance, future, what is the future of the project because of impact of this variance, and he generates the reports, and so that he need to inform to the stakeholders. So that is identify and analyze the trends, and based on the variances and based on the recent changes in the project plan and management plan, so he analyze the trends, and if this goes if this new project management plan implements now, and project manager team is going to work on as per the newly baseline plan, then he has to analyze and then trends. So trends means, so if this is changed, so what is the cost is changed, what is the timeline is changed, and if the current environment of the project is impacting on the project, if this current environment the project has to go, so if it is impacting on the project, so he has to create the trends. So if this environment is like this, so the project will be performed, and the schedule and cost, he has to analyze the trends and prepare the reports and sends to the stakeholders. So report on performance to all stakeholders. This is the project manager has to communicate all stakeholders when the project, how and what's happening at the project, so that he report performance stakeholders, and use variance reports to help correct small problems before they become serious. So quality control, the project manager always makes sure that, so when there is a defects, so he makes sure that will not arises in the future course of the problem. So that is use the quality control tools and inspection parameter charts and cause and effect diagrams, and spend time trying to improve the quality. So when there is in terms of quality, when there is problems, and what is the corrective and preventive actions and defect repairs and root cause of the problems. So when there is a root cause of problems, that implement it so that it will not arise in future. So It's so spend time trying to improve the quality. Administer documents in project execution process. We select the bidder, and then project manager communicate with that seller, and then he comes up with the project management plan for that service, and then he regularly gets the status of the project, regularly meets with the seller and get the about the project, how it is going. The seller will come, sends the status report, and then this project manager from this organization perform the procurement audits. So that we discuss in the procurement knowledge area. So this is all about monitoring control process group. So monitor, project manager monitor and control. That is the control the scope when it deviates from the project management baseline plan. So we control it. So we control the scope, schedule, cost, risk and quality. That is about monitor and controlling process group. The project manager most of the time is spent on the monitoring control process group. The project manager spent most of the time in monitoring and control project when project is executed.